While most kids were in school, a 12, two 13-year-olds, a 14-year-old, and a 16-year-old were out doing a carjacking, and police say this isn't their first time in a stolen car.
A crime alert. Two teenagers are under arrest facing some serious charges after police say they stole a car at gunpoint and led them on a chase from Miami to Miami Beach.
And we have new video this morning of a 10-year-old boy who police say was driving a stolen vehicle across a crowded school playground.
It's a typical night in small town America, and you're just driving home after work. It's late at night and you're thinking about your day. You're thinking about your kids. You're thinking about what you're going to have to make for dinner. All of the emails you have to return. Everything is racing through your head about everything you've done today, and you pull up to a red light. You stop at that red light and you look up, and there's a gun in your face. You don't have any time to think. You don't have any time to prepare. That gun is staring you in the face and you have to make a decision. You've just been carjacked. Your car is gone. You're safe, but you'll never feel safe again. For those of you who are new to my channel, I am a 70s baby. I was a teenager in the late 80s and in the early 90s, and that's when the term carjacking got really popularized. There were a bunch of movies in the 90s that glorified carjacking and made it seem like a fun, exciting thing to do, which is crazy when I think about it now. Even then, when I was a teenager, it never occurred to me to go out and carjack somebody. It never occurred to me to get a gun when I was a teenager. That just wasn't who I was. That wasn't how I was raised. And that wasn't the environment that I was in when I was growing up. So when I look at these stories today, again, I remember that time when carjacking was happening back then more often, but it was more of an adult thing. It was more of, young teenagers. And when I say young teenagers, I'm talking about, 17, 18, 19. It was something where people were carjacking cars and they were taking them to chop shops so they could make money off of them. People weren't just carjacking back then just so they could go and joyride. Or people weren't carjacking back then just so they could steal a car to commit another crime. There was something, for lack of a better word, strategic about it. And I know that sounds strange because we are talking about antisocial behavior, but that was why people did it. I mean, people have been stealing cars for as long as cars have been in existence. But the whole phenomenon of taking a gun and sticking it in someone's face and stealing the car while it's running with the owner of the car in it, and then driving away with that car. And then if that person who owns the car, if they resist you, you possibly shoot and or unalive that individual. That wasn't something that happened. I mean, it happened, but it wasn't the regular occurrence. Because it was something new, in the late 80s and in the early 90s, again, people didn't know how to react. And so you fast forward to today, and it's amazing to me to see how many teenagers are out here carjacking people. And when I say teenagers, I'm not talking about 17, 18, 19. I'm talking about 13, 14, 15. Very young children going out here and carjacking people. And that's why this story of this young child, and I'm specifically using the word child, this child in Minneapolis was 10 years old in a stolen car. That's why this story really, really leapt out at me, and I had to cover it. A 10-year-old. Think back to what you were doing when you were 10 years old. I'm absolutely positively certain that most of you watching this video right now didn't even occur to you to try and steal a car, let alone try to drive a car at 10 years old. Go ahead and check this story out, and I'll talk to you on the other side.
See, the car comes just a few feet away from where the kids are playing. Investigators say the driver was a 10-year-old boy, and he is well known to police.
10. It happened outside Nellie Stone Johnson School near Lindale and 27th Avenues North in Minneapolis 2 weeks ago. Alec Jokic heard from neighbors who were stunned and officials who are sharing more about the boy's past.
Hi, I'm Maria Lizignoli, and we have new video this morning of a 10-year-old boy who police say was driving a stolen vehicle across a crowded school playground. Take a look at this. Watch the right side of your screen now. There, that vehicle you can see going across the sidewalk really close to the playground. The vehicle's seen driving in the background there several times back and forth. Surveillance video shows school staff frantically trying to move children off the playground and out of harm's way. Police Chief Brian O'Hara said MPD officers arrested this boy and he was booked into Hennepin County Juvenile Detention Center on Thursday for probable cause second-degree assault. This happened on September 20th of this year at Nellie Stone Johnson School in North Minneapolis.
So you heard it there, a 10-year-old boy. And I'm so glad the media said 10-year-old boy, just to emphasize how young this male is. 10 years old in a stolen car. So he steals the car. He gets in the car. He's driving it. And then he's driving through a playground filled with children. He's driving around the whole playground. He's not even trying to hide. What could he possibly have planned to do with a stolen car at 10 years old? Except do what he did. He wanted to drive past the school, show the kids, probably he went to that school and he wanted to show them, hey, I'm driving a car. But just think about for a moment, again, what you were doing when you were 10 years old. Maybe you stole some candy. Maybe you stole $1 out of your mother's purse. Maybe you stole an extra piece of cake. But most people at 10 years old would not be so brazen as to steal a car. But wait, you got to see this. That's not the worst part, because you would think, oh, this young man stole this young boy, this 10-year-old boy stole a car. That's horrible. Wait till you hear this other part of what happened, what he was doing before he stole this car. Check this out.
Now, police records indicate that the 10-year-old boy has at least 30 entries dating back to May 2023. He's been arrested at least twice before for auto theft-related crimes. The boy is also listed as a suspect in more than 12 cases that range from auto theft to robbery to assault with a dangerous weapon. The remaining entries are mostly related to runaway-type cases.
Okay, so you heard that. This little boy, 10 years old. He's got interactions with police going back 18 months. So that means if the little boy just turned 10 years old, let's say if his birthday just happened, and he's got interactions with the police going back 18 months, that means that he might have started this lifetime of antisocial behavior when he was 8 years old. At the latest, he started at 9 years old. I've got so many questions. Where are the parents? What's going on in his home life? Why hasn't this young boy been remanded to the custody of the state? Obviously, the parents are doing a bad job. I think it's safe to assume, and I can't wait to hear the comments. I can't wait to read the comments when I say this. I think it's very safe to assume that this 10-year-old boy, this 10-year-old black boy, is being raised by a single mother. That goes without question. There's no way you can convince me at all that this young boy, this 10-year-old kid, has a father at home and that he's being this reckless. And then you had the police from Minneapolis. They came out and they made a statement because they've been interacting with this young kid for the entire time that he's been involved in this antisocial behavior. Let's take a listen to what the local police have to say.
Now, Chief Brian O'Hara says the 10-year-old's family is cooperating with police, and they've asked for help to keep their son or anyone else from being injured or killed. We'll be following this all day long and bring you the latest on air and online.
So you heard that police officer. That police officer said that they spoke to the family. The family needs help. The family needs help. They've got this out of control 10-year. Let me stop right there. To all of my parents out there, how many of you have had to deal with an out of control 8, 9, or 10-year-old? Maybe that kid goes out, they eat some candy when you tell them not to. Maybe that kid sneaks a piece of cake after dinner when you tell them to go to bed. Maybe you're dealing with a kid who they're using their cell phone or using their tablet after you tell them to go to bed. Most of us, the majority of people, are not dealing with children who are going out and stealing cars. If you are a parent and you have a child who is 8, 9, or 10 years old who is stealing cars, you failed that child from the time that they were born up until the time that they were 10 years old. I know that's hard to hear, but you failed that child, because here's the question we need to ask ourselves as a society, and here's the question that parents need to ask themselves. You're not disciplining your child because you love your child. You're not disciplining your child because you're trying to let them find their way. Guess what? When that child goes out there and steals that car, guess what's going to happen to that kid? That kid is going to get arrested. After he's arrested, he or she is arrested, they're going to go before a judge. That judge is going to bang that gavel and say, guilty. And then guess where your kid is going after that? Your kid is going to jail. Your child is going to go to jail because you loved your child too much to discipline them. Here's the choice. Either you discipline your child or the world is going to discipline your child. And guess what? The world doesn't love your child the way you love your child. We have to make a decision as a society, generally, and we have to make a decision as a Black community specifically, where a lot of this antisocial behavior is happening. We have to hold each other accountable. We can no longer afford to look the other way and come up with excuses and continue to not hold each other accountable when we see the trajectory that our children are going on. It is far better to grab this 10-year-old kid and throw him in juvie from 10 years old to 18 years old than it is to just ignore the behavior and say, oh, it's not his fault, he's just 10 years old. If you don't hold that 10-year-old accountable today, he's going to turn into an 18-year-old that's going to commit a far worse offense that's going to impact a lot more people. And then as an adult, he's going to go to jail for the rest of his life. Let's start making the hard decisions sooner so we don't have to make harder decisions later. I can't wait to see the comment section. I can't wait to interact with you there. As always, do me just a couple of favors. Subscribe, hit your notification bell, but most importantly, after you subscribe, I want you to like this video and I want you to comment. Share it with other like-minded individuals. This is a conversation that is long overdue. This is a conversation that we need to have right now.